All right, you ready? Look, she's so lit. She's so lit. All right,
I'm ready.
guys, we're here at the studio for the RevUpFitness podcast. Yeah, I know.
Secret.
The secret studio. We're quarantined right now. We can't be at the Russell Center of Excellence where we normally do our podcast from. So we're staying safe. We hope you're staying safe. I'm here with Electric Fit.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite plant-based athlete and wellness advocate. Glad to be here. Glad to have y'all here listening to us today. It's going to be lit. Stay tuned.
And then we have Side Hustle Mentor, of course. Where are you, Marquise?
Man, I'm somewhere quarantined in Michigan, man. I hope y'all all staying safe. You know, your favorite side hustler out here trying to help people still grow their business with automation, even though I'm quarantined and got cabin fever, still trying to stay safe. And that's what this episode is all about, just empowerment and just knowing what's going on around us.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So we have some very, very special guests today.
Yes.
I'm going to let you do the introduction, Jamie, because it's very important. We wanted you guys to have access to them, and so I'll let her introduce them.
So, everyone, we are about to have founders of ProBlkHealth today, Dr. Karleena and Darian McDaniel.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and bring them into here. Let's see if we got them. Hey, how you guys doing?
All right. How's
Awesome.
everybody doing out there today?
Trying to stay safe in quarantine. This is not quarantine, I guess it's shelter in, right?
Yeah, quarantine,
better?
sheltered in, closed off, shut in, all the things.
Sick or shut in.
Yes,
Or not sick or
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We know it's busy times for everyone. We want to just get started with you guys. Just get started, talk about how you guys. I met you guys at a convention here in Atlanta called a Village Market. I ran across you guys, and I was like, "Man, this is a dope booth." And I was like, "It was so lit. It was so much going on." And then certain verbiage on the products of the vitamins we're going to talk about. It was really exciting to me, so it pulled me in. So let's start with talking about how you met, though. How did you guys meet?
You tell stories so well, babe. So I'll let you
Okay, so the short and sweet version is on 2012. On the night before my birthday, my office took me out to eat at Duggan, which is a sports club here in Atlanta. And Darian, he came in to watch some basketball game and eat chicken wings by himself. And he was sitting next to our table. And all of my people in my office left one by one. It was just me and him. And then he was like, "Can I buy you a drink?" I said, "Of course." And then we hung out for a little while. And I guess over chicken wings, it just kind of happened. And we've been kind of together since then, which is 8 years. So thank you, Duggan.
I always say I got my lifetime chicken wing now.
Chicken wings that bring people together. Well, what flavor? That's all I want to know.
Lemon pepper, baby. Lemon pepper.
I tell you, boy.
Nice. So when you guys met over chicken wings, right? And you started doing that stuff. When did you guys decide? You know what? Your passion for health and wellness and bringing this business together. Like, how did that come together? Were you already a doctor at that point, or how did that come about?
So I've been a doctor since I graduated med school in 2005. So technically I've been a doctor for 15 years. I've been a surgeon for the last 10. So I moved to Atlanta 10 years ago. When we met, I was already a physician in Atlanta, kind of seeing a lot of the health discrepancies that we deal with on a regular basis. And then once we kind of got engaged and we'll be married in it'll be 2 years next month. And we decided to kind of build our passion project or work on our legacy together about how do we want to, what impact we want to leave on society? Like, how can we help?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have been in some discussions, once you get married to someone, you get to see them every day. And she would come home so frustrated about, we had a lot of Black patients, and she would be frustrated about our health, the levels of our health. And she would say, "Man, we're not doing the baseline stuff." And she would come home and talk about it every day. And I was like, "Man, do I have to hear about Black people not being healthy again today?" She's like, yes, you do. And so she's like, you don't understand. I'm so pro Black health. And so it just ran with us. And that's how we kind of got that passion and that start and that particular feeling about what we're going to do and we're going to make a difference.
Okay. So, Darian, are you a doctor as well?
No, I'm a marketing executive. I've been an executive in marketing for over 20 years.
Okay.
And so I kind of put together the brand and the name and the colors and all those things. So we kind of put our powers together to start this brand.
Nice. That's a good synergy, a good balance.
Yeah, it works.
That's awesome. So right now, with the business, how is things going? With the current state of events, has the business up for you? Has it went down? What's the current state of the business right now?
Well, the business has really spiked, as far as the people that understand health, they want to make sure they have their immunity and their vitamins. But what really has brought to light is a part of our mission, which I'm sure we're going to discuss, but those disparities in the Black community. Like now the cover pulled back because now you see that we're getting sicker and things are happening. So it's a real big time for us to really push our message and to get people to see that we really need to all collectively make a difference.
Correct. So yes. So speaking of that, let's just go right into the big topic at hand. Obviously, the current virus that's causing this pandemic across the world. So it's a big conversation because we haven't seen anything like this before. Like I would like to hear from both of you. What is your thoughts as far as I guess how we got here and what do we need to do to try to get out of it? Globally.
Yes.
You cut out for 1 second. Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh yeah, no problem. So the question was just basically, what are you guys' opinion on basically how we got into this pandemic? How this this virus spread across the globe to right now, and what do you think are some things that we can do to kind of bring it back in, so it's kind of to calm this down? So what do they say? They bring the curve down.
We have to flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve. That's it.
Yep, we gotta flatten the curve. So what's crazy about this virus is that coronavirus in general is a type of typical like winter cold or seasonal cold. So coronavirus, there's many types or brands of it. So all viruses we can say are soda, but some are Sprite, some are Coke, some are Pepsi. So we've seen different versions of coronavirus. What makes this one so kind of different or unique, and tragically so, is that it's a lot more virulent or deadly than its cousins or sisters and brothers. It's a mutant variant that we haven't seen, and we don't know for sure, but originally was only amongst animals. Somehow it made a jump to humans over in China, or at least that's what we are thinking. This all may change as we do more research on it. But when it came to humans, it was a different virus that humans had never seen, that we had never detected. So once we detect a virus like the flu or certain types of pneumonia, we can build defense, right? We can build defense that our body doesn't naturally have, such as vaccines, or we can build treatments that will kind of fight it once you have it. So coronavirus or the 19, or if people have heard of SARS was a big deal a few years ago when I talked about bird flu, a similar type of thing. So severe acute respiratory syndrome. Once we detect it, then we have to build a vaccine to it, and then we can also hopefully find treatments. In the meantime, and this is where we are now, if we contract it, we have to build a natural immune defense. That's how we would build against chickenpox. Once you get chickenpox, typically, it's very rare that you will get it again. We don't know if this virus acts in a similar way, but the goal is that your body will build antibodies to it. It will remember that it had it, and if you get exposed to the same exact virus again, you will be safe. But it's so new, it's spreading so fast, and it's such a strong virus that people who have any kind of immune system issues, and that can be from previous lung disease, asthma, bronchitis, COPD, let's say you're on chemotherapy, let's say you're an HIV patient, let's say you're obese, diabetic, have horrible immune systems, any of those put you at a disadvantage in terms of fighting this off. So that's where the issue is. It's a much stronger common virus that we don't have a good way to protect ourselves against. And unfortunately, the most susceptible people in our society are minorities, and that's why we're dying at such a higher rate. It has nothing to do with genetics. Blacks aren't weaker in terms of our genes, but we are predisposed based on our socioeconomic status, access to health care, and a bunch of other stuff.
Those are all great points. And that's actually leading to what I was going to ask you next, because I know I've just been reading a lot of statements in the media recently that, you know, the African-American population is getting hit a little bit harder, a lot of generalized statements or whatnot. So I was kind of wondering, why would that be the case? But then also, what can we do as a community to kind of protect ourselves if we are at a higher risk?
Gotcha. So it's not a complicated question, but there's short-term goals and there's long-term goals. I think our long-term goals are goals that we look at on a day-to-day basis, right? So we have to be the counter virus to it until we can hopefully flatten the curve and stop the spread. So the best way for us to protect ourselves is to not get it, but how do we not get it? So the 6 feet apart is one way, but the biggest thing outside of social distancing, we have to wash our hands, keep our hands clean, okay? Every time we touch our face, every time we touch something in our environment, the virus can live on surfaces for hours to days. We forget about it, but it is so easily transmittable that we have to really be super conscious. You have to keep your head on a swivel about your environment. So something that, Darian gets on me about is, every time I come home, he makes me disinfect my cell phone. I never really thought about it, but how many people have cell phones that keep it within 24 hours a day, but you put it down on the counter, you put it down when you're in public, you put it in your pocketbook, money's next to it, credit card, it's in a public space, but your public environment is what can contaminate any and all things that you will eventually touch. So it's really about being conscious about trying to limit the germ exposure that you have. And it's going to mean doing things that you used to never think about. If you used to wash your hands 5 times a day, it might be 50 times a day. If you have to have hand sanitizer, if you can find it, that's a good in-between if you're out in public and can't wash your hands in between. I know people talk about gloves, but the thing about gloves is if you wear the same pair of gloves all day, and then you're still touching your face or still touching your steering wheel or still touching your door, you're just transmitting those public germs still, but just on a glove. So your hands are clean, but when you take the gloves off, you might go back and touch some of those surfaces. So really it's about keeping your hands away from your face, cleansing your environment, staying away from other people. A lot of asymptomatic carriers, people who feel great, don't know they have it, and there's simple conversation, breath, transmission that is spreading this virus. So that's your day-to-day. Now, a little bit longer term goal is building up your immune system. You can't go from a weak immune system to a strong immune system in a day, but you can start day by day increasing it. So what does that mean? That means getting enough sleep. That means taking vitamins or supplements that will kind of help your body build its own immune system. We have some things we can talk about later about that. Probiotics is a form of, people don't think about it, but probiotics is bacteria that is in goes into your GI tract. Your GI tract is about 90% of your immune system. So when your GI tract bacteria gets disturbed, your body can't function properly because you can't absorb your nutrients as well or as optimally. So probiotics help balance that out. Probiotics are a good way to boost your immune system. Then there's long-term goals. We're talking about the political and socioeconomic. That corona put a lot on it, corona's not going to fix it. So when we deal with our health is our greatest aspect. We have to harness that energy through our health to be our own best advocate. We can't just sit around and wait for other people to vote our way, to do for us, to give us resources. So we need to come together, understand that sitting on the sidelines and waiting for something to happen is never going to be fulfilled. So we need to be in the streets. We need to be talking to our leaders, to our legislation, to our churches, to our schools, to our hospitals. We need to be active in the community because a lot of us sit around, So, and if it looks like we don't care, why would the majority care? You know, they're already taking care of themselves. So we need to be our best advocate and really be out in the public and stomp on the ground and knock on doors we never have before to try to get some of these resources that have been denied to us.
Yes, and I definitely agree with you, but I guess when you go back to the foundation, first people have to truly understand what's going on and they have to really care.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see is a lot of people throwing caution into the wind, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we really relay how important this is in our community? Things that need to be done on the foundation level as we go, getting to the point where we're knocking on doors and looking at our senators and other stuff for help. Like, what would be your advice?
So I think this week that just passed was a game changer in terms of just how devastating this disease is going to be on our community. And when Dr. Fauci went and did a White House briefing, and he said that one of the main reasons why Blacks are being so disproportionately affected by this disease is because of health disparity. It wasn't something I think we didn't know, but it's never been publicly said that unambiguously where we can begin to hold into the fire. But I say that to say when you have Chicago, which is 30% Black and 70% of the people are dying, same statistics in Louisiana, similar in New York. I think and so many of us have had close people we know that have died, if that doesn't make you want to take care of yourself better or look after someone you love, then I don't know what will. Because now it's hitting home in a rate and speed that we've never seen before. That it's obvious, you know. So I can tell you, I can recommend that you wash your hands and do this and do that. But if you can't see that we're dropping like flies from this, and if that doesn't change the way that you do your everyday interactions, then I don't think there's any advice that will be there. Because I think the safety recommendations are there. They've been there from the beginning. We just need to take them seriously. And now I think that we're dying at such a fast rate, I'm hoping that will be the game changer for people to understand this is not a white, old, rich people disease. This is an everybody disease, but we are way more susceptible to not making it to the other side of it.
Do you feel like once, and I like to speak as though it's, we're headed this way, it's going to happen, but once everyone in our community starts to take this seriously, that they'll also retrace their steps as far as how they take care of themselves outside of this illness, disease.
I hear you. I think that, I hope so. I think that it brings a light on, why those disparities are there. Like, when we started the company, people say, man, why'd you call it ProBlkHealth? And, why'd you do these things? And I was like, man, do you realize the health disparities in the Black community as far as us taking care of ourselves? So hopefully, with enough education and enough shows like this, that people know that everything that you do, has an effect. Everything that you eat, everything that you drink, you have to be really vigilant in taking care of yourself. Supplementation, vitamins so important. It's so funny you talk about when we have the show. So many people come up sometimes and say, "Man, vitamins. Why do we need vitamins? Why do we need to we are so denial that we're in the community, but we're in great health." It's like I just don't get it. I'm like, well, do you realize that micronutrients runs your body? Do you realize that you need vitamin D? Do you realize? I mean, we just in the sense that we don't need these things, and I don't know if it's kind of a just from generational that we just eat what we want to eat, and that's okay. But that supplementation and taking care of your body and eating fruits and vegetables and those things are so important. So hopefully, if we can move the needle a little bit, it would be great. Like one of our things we say is that, which we found out that 92% of African Americans are deficient in one or more vitamins. And when I say that number, people like, no, that's impossible. No, that's like, yeah, it is. And I think sometimes we can get in a bit of our own community, our own neighborhood, our own peer group. So if we're healthy, we think everybody's healthy. I'm a vegan. No, everybody, all my friends, but it's so much bigger than that. And so that's why we started ProBlk Health. So if you buy a vitamin, 50% of those proceeds and those profits go to organizations that focus on eradicating health disparities in the Black community. So, it's like investing in your own health while investing in your health in your community. And our idea is like we can grow this brand big enough that we can take our own money and our own resources to make a difference. We can do millions in sales and give millions away. That was kind of our vision, because we talked to a lot of nonprofits out there, and it's a ton that really want to work with the community, but they have no financial resources. And it's kind of hard to go out there and ask people for money, but it's easy to say that I'm going to buy a vitamin and support myself, and then we distribute those profits to make it an easy way to help the community.
Yeah. So one of the things like Jimmy was kind of piggybacking off of it a little bit, but people when it first started to come around this virus, a lot of people I noticed didn't take it seriously, and even to this day, like people having house parties and inviting all their friends over, having all these things going on. Heck, here in park, as recently as yesterday, police had to go out there and shut down big gatherings of people. I don't know if it's a sense of invincibility or what it is, but this, no matter, you see how the world is shut down, there's still a group of people who still just don't get it. I don't think they don't see the seriousness of it. And so no matter what, I think there will always be that pocket of people. But if there was, it's one of those things where I don't know how you guys, your opinion of it is, but is there anything we can say differently or anything we can do differently to kind of get the message, like how serious is it to keep social distancing in their, daily practice?
I think, like you said, the people who feel invincible, and a lot of invincibility comes from youth. Like you have, a little kid will jump into a pool and not realize he doesn't know how to swim. So as long as you don't hurt, as long as, you still have youth on your side, a lot of people, that's all that they see. And I don't know what it would take outside of themselves being in an ICU or a family member or best friends. I think why do people still smoke cigarettes? It blows my mind. It's been proven a million times over that cigarettes is likely to give you lung cancer. People still smoke. You're gonna have those subset things. It's not gonna happen to me. It can't happen to me. But I think what we can do is the more people who understand it, who have health awareness, is to spread the word. But you're not going to fix everybody. Some people, hard hit, make it all out. 40 spring breakers went to Florida during that time a few weeks ago. They got it. And I'm pretty sure on this side of the coin, they're gonna move differently, but it took them getting it. And I don't wish anyone to get it, but we can shout it from the rooftop, we can cram it down some people's throats. And as long as they have that mentality, it's going to take something more than just talking to someone to understand it. Like I said, it's on, people are dying by the thousands every day. So if that doesn't make you understand that the way that we can stop this spread or slow it down is to not be all up on each other and to really protect ourselves, then they kind of got to figure it out their own way. Hopefully they don't get it. But I think we just need to continue to stand fast with doing our part and letting other people know, hey, maybe you shouldn't do it. But it may not make a difference if they're determined to feel that, they, like you said, have that feeling of invincibility. And that's the hard part. That's the part that breaks my heart, because it's like, what can I say? What can I do? There's probably nothing I can say or do. They're going to have a personal connection or tragedy, unfortunately, for it to become real to them.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of it is that it's invisible. It's like the invisible enemy. The other day it was sunny outside and I was looking out the window. I was like, man, I want to go out there, because it's like,
Let me out of here.
You're like, man, I feel great. But it's like this invisible enemy out there. And when I sat there, I had to think like, everybody has to think like it's Godzilla outside your door. And then if it was like this big, you would be like, I want to stay inside. It's invisible, and so it's so hard to recognize the invisible enemy. And it's like a microorganism can wipe out the whole entire race. And
Yeah, and it's definitely dangerous because, like you said, we live in a society to where, like you said, youth and people feel invincible. And unfortunately, if they don't have that tragedy that happens maybe to them or to someone that they love, they won't really necessarily change their patterns. And then living in such an instant gratification society as well. We want what we want and we want it now. So when people tell us that we gotta stay inside, we want to buck, we want to rebel. That's just the common human nature or whatnot. So it's dangerous because, like I said, it's invisible, it's out there, but our human nature tells us to go against the grain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the world is definitely not. Well, they've seen things similar to this before. We had Spanish flu, and we had different things leading up to this moment. Outside of the individuals doing, what we're told to do. How do you feel about the way the government is prepared to handle situations like what's going on?
That's a big statement. Well, you know what? I'm gonna let my wife. I'm gonna let my wife say this, but she says a phrase that I love. Down in front. Go ahead, baby.
I mean, this is a watered down version of how I really feel. I'm in the military, so there's certain things that it's illegal for me to say about my government. But I think that it was poorly handled. There has been, endless amounts of evidence of things going back several years that we knew, we heard about, we could have been prepared for. And I think that our current administration didn't take it nearly as serious as they should have. And I think they put money and economy over people's lives. And I think that as wonderful as it is to be in America, we're still very ethnocentric in terms of we are the best country. And when it was us in China, it was a dirty Chinese thing. So it took a while for it to come here because we think that we're above everybody else. But when it got here and now there's running rampant, we're so behind the 8 ball that it's turning into a tragedy. And we're living in a time under a certain, administration where it's all about the blame game. So we could all really work together, but it's about let's deny it. But now that it's really bad, it's everybody else's fault. And any positive headway, it's my doing, I did it. But we wouldn't even be in this position to even make these kind of concessions if we had been prepared. And I don't like the way that it became a political thing. No, this is a vehicle for the Democrats. This is, it's fake news. It's to, go against our president. People dying by the hundreds of thousands, potentially. I can't imagine anyone would even honestly think is a political agenda, and it's hitting all sections of our society, the rich, the poor, white, black. So to me, that shouldn't even, and it's still being said. I had a doctor I had a conversation yesterday who believes this isn't real. I mean, this is a doctor that I don't work with directly, but I see him in the hospital. And he says, I don't think we need this many ventilators. It's not that big of a deal. And I had to figure out how to do the conversation because you can tell that he skewed into that mentality of, oh, it's not that serious. But I promise you, no one that he loves or care about is on a ventilator or is about to die or has died from it. So I think that they what is it called? Screwed the pooch on this one. And now we're playing catch up. And unfortunately, you can't play catch up with people's lives. Death is permanent. So hopefully now we can slow it down and not hit those numbers that we're forecasting. But it's embarrassing. We are the richest country in the world. We have the best health system. And this is trash. This really just opened up the doors to how, we have a lot of inadequacies, inequities, and we're being governed by somebody who's very self-serving. If it doesn't suit him, it doesn't matter and it takes a back seat. So this pandemic committee was disbanded 2 years ago. Why? Can this happen at any point? So why disband it altogether? And now we're like, okay, well, who's going to take care of this? I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess. And I pray that, like I said, we all make it to the other side of it, but it was poorly handled.
And so that was the watered down version. Version.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Go ahead.
See, you threw me off just because that.
Hey,
So,
for sure.
the social, well, I prefer to use the terminology physical distancing because we still all can socialize. It almost
Yeah.
like you're grounded. Socially, like you can't talk to this person. But during this physical distancing process, of course, it is a temporary fix. It's definitely not something long term. You just can't keep people locked up forever. That's not, in essence of how we are. So what I hear, it's very possible that we could see a second phase of this. What are
Yes.
on outside of definitely, of course, getting vitamins and building up your immune system, but as a country, other things that we need to do, like far as preparation, because there could be food shortages. I mean, so many things could cause a trickle down effect with this whole thing, as we're seeing right now. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I heard bits and pieces. I think you're asking what can we do in terms of when can we kind of open stuff back up again? Is that kind of the different question?
Well, no, what I was saying was they say that, on the news that it could very well be a second round of this, coming.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And of course, the physical distancing aspect is only a temporary fix.
Mm-hmm.
So with a possible second phase of this, what other things outside of definitely building up our immune systems do you feel like should be in play for us to be prepared, once this occurs again or not?
Gotcha. The things that need to happen are unfortunately out of our individual control. The things that need to happen in order to temper a second or third wave, we're going to have to get adequate testing, because part of the issue why this ran like, a forest fire is because you have so many people who have it, who don't know they have it because they're asymptomatic, that continue to spread it. So they were saying at some point, at least 2 to 3 people who had it but had no symptoms. I mean, every person who didn't have symptoms was spreading it to at least 2 or 3 other people, right? But we don't have enough tests. So we're just telling people, okay, well, self-isolate, stay amongst yourselves so we can decrease public spread of contamination. We still don't have enough tests. And until we have enough tests to figure out who has it, it's going to be very difficult to know when or how we can start trickling ourselves back into society. Because at some point we're going to have to, right? We can't do this forever, like you said. So that's going to happen. A vaccine's going to have to happen, because just like the seasonal flu and everything else, the virus is not going to die completely. We're just going to be able to slow it down, and hopefully the most deadly version of it. They're saying there's about 8 versions of this Corona-19 exist, and they probably vary in terms of deadliness. We're hoping that the most deadly version of it will kill itself out. Unfortunately, it's going to take loss of life to do that. So hopefully we get a vaccine so that, just like our flu, we can vaccinate people who are at a high risk of getting it. So we need a vaccine, and we need a medication for the people who get sick to be able to help the symptoms. So again, on an individual basis, all we can do is try to avoid getting it, which will affect slowing down the spread. But in order to really help with some of these second and third iterations, we're going to have to figure out how to test more people quicker, because we got to figure out how to get the positive people out of circulation. We didn't do that initially, and that's like why we're in the state that we're in for an undetermined amount of time. We still don't have enough tests.
And I just wanted to, is it going to be the new normal to wear masks like all the time? You think even after this, the curve?
I think it will be the new norm until we get to a point where we haven't heard about, the escalation in cases. I think the cases are going to have to be like no new cases for a while, where people start to feel safe. But like I said, you can catch a common cold, so it's not that it's going to prevent it forever. But I think as long as we're in this fear of like it's still in our communities and spreading quickly, I think we're going to be wearing masks is a very wise thing to do. Well, I think it'd be forever and a day, maybe not. But you see in the movies, they have like, oh, in 2135, everyone looks dirty and wears gray and wears masks. That might be the beginning of our future. Who knows? But I think that it's going to be, I would say, probably into next year, you're going to have some people who are going to wear masks whenever they go out. It's like a post-traumatic post-traumatic stress disorder a lot of people are going to have from this, where you already have your germaphobes, you already have your hypochondriacs, where wearing a mask is going to be kind of their feeling of safety when they go out into the world. And I don't blame them, but I don't think it's going to be mandatory once we get to a point where we don't have a spike in new cases.
Gotcha. And then also, I heard you speak of, of course, getting vaccines, and then of course your company is ProBlkHealth, which is definitely vitamin supplements. So I'm curious to see where you stand with the vaccine versus preventative as far as building up your immunity and the vitamins. Do you stand on both sides, or are you like 60-40, 50-50? What are your views?
I think that both are necessary, but everyone's not going to need a vaccine. Everyone needs to take care of their immunity every day, because that's, like I said, this is just one virus. There are probably other viruses that we don't know yet that could cause the same damage. There are bacteria out there. There are parasites. So your immunity is everything in terms of preservation and survival. Now, your vaccines are good for your vulnerable population. So they recommend like getting an influenza vaccine if you're a healthcare worker or if you're over 65, or working in certain environments. I think that's where the vaccine is going to come into play, where it's going to become a seasonal thing for high-risk people. I don't think it's mandatory for everyone. But if you're immunocompromised, if you're older, if you have something about you where getting this virus potentially put in ICU or kill you, you should get a vaccine. If you're otherwise younger and don't work in a sick environment or aren't around a lot of people, it may not be that big of a deal to get a vaccine. So I don't believe in full vaccination, but I do believe that your nutrition is something that everybody should do every day for every day they're alive.
And then also, guys, I hope I'm not hogging up the questions. So I just have like so much. But you're hearing a few stories in the news about how some people, or at least via Instagram, how some people are healing themselves holistically and naturally, with so much fear, amongst certain people about vaccines and not really trusting pharmaceuticals. Do you think that most people will go holistically? And if that's the case, do you think as a result we will start seeing shortages because more people are going to start going that route? Or
I think that I don't have an exact percentage on who are the anti-vaxxers who believe in a completely holistic life compared to the whole population. They are less than 50%. I think whatever that percentage is, that trend is going to continue. And I think that's right. I don't think that somebody should have to get a vaccine that they don't have to have. Speaking about this, kid vaccines is a whole other conversation. But if they have a vaccine for this, I don't think it's mandatory. Now, if you work like in a hospital, or if you work in a high-risk thing and your job mandates it, then that may be something that you have to make a decision: do I want this job versus I don't want the vaccine? Because now we're talking about public safety and transmission of disease. So in terms of holistic, your personal beliefs are your beliefs. I can't prove necessarily that what you do is a harm or a help to you, because you don't know you're sick until you're sick. And unless you do tests to confirm you have something and don't have it, it's all about speculation and how you feel. So, like I said, I think the people who live in that world will continue to, and I think those that are saying, hey, if there's a medicine, there's a vaccine, I want it, that will continue as well. I think once they make it, they'll continue making it. I don't think there's going to be any shortage. We just have to find it, because it's about money. People are going to be billionaires off of this vaccine. So they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna make it, and there's gonna be more of it than we need. It might be slow in the beginning, but we have enough flu vaccine every year. We have enough pneumonia vaccine every year. They're gonna figure it out.
Well, we definitely want to segue 100% into your business. So my last question about the whole corona and how it merges with your business: what advice would you give to our community as far as preparation for a possible second round, or just being okay right now? Like, what advice would you leave? the public?
I think advice I would give is, really take your own health and immunity seriously. So think about what you do on a day-to-day basis and how can you improve upon that. So your immune system is like your defense, against everything in this world, not just this virus, but anything else. So you are what you eat, that is a fact. So make sure that you're eating wholesome ingredients and food. Try to limit your preservatives and your additives, because your body processes well. Try to take vitamin supplementation if you feel that you're not getting it in your food. Do I think everyone should have to take vitamins? Not necessarily, but you don't know if your vitamin is deficient unless you get lab work to really know for sure. I mentioned getting enough rest. Your body heals during sleep. A lot of people just have poor sleeping habits, or just don't rest as much as they need to. Exercise, like I said, we're doing physical distancing, but that doesn't mean that you can't do something. It's okay to go outside and take a walk, but you can't be all on people. But exercise will also improve your immune system. All of those are things, obviously, besides wearing a mask when you're in close quarters with people in public that you are not familiar with, washing your hands, not touching your face, sanitizing, the things that you touch on a regular basis. Those are things that we can do now, but will have the same effect as the second or third iteration of this.
Look, that's a big thing, staying active, even during quarantine, home workouts, going to walk around, your block, maybe with a mask on. Staying active is definitely important still at this time.
Mhm.
One thing we do want to talk a little bit more about, your specific business, ProBlkHealth. We wanted to, for one, the first part about ProBlkHealth is what was the gap in the market where you said, you know what, we need to market our vitamins specifically for kings and queens and, for our people, because when you guys put together, it was very different and it pulled me in. So what was the triggers that made you say, hey, you know what, we're going to market it directly towards our people?
The thing that we figured out that a large percent of us are vitamin deficient, and we found that there wasn't anything in the market that specifically targeted us. And what I mean by that, like, for us, by us, about us, and we wanted to really make a difference there. And we wanted to do it to make health cool, to make health like, man, I'm a king, I'm a queen, and make these names like targets towards our community. And when you walk down the vitamin aisle, you didn't see that. Like you walk down the hair aisle or the beauty aisle, there's all kind of black stuff. Anything that give us a look, some kind of lipstick, it's like, I'm like, if the inside don't look good, what you put all this stuff on the outside for?
There's a lot of band-aids and hairdos and caskets everywhere. It's the inside health that we.
And I was like, man, they got us all positioned in the store with superficial stuff.
Yeah.
And you look down the health aisle, it's not nothing. And so I was like, man, there's a big need for that and a big gap in the market. And it was difficult. It was difficult to make investors look at it that way. We tried to look at investors, but they're like, man, change the name, do general market. If I was doing some kind of hair grease, it would have been no problem. It's about doing something with our health because they think we don't take care of ourselves. Oh, they're not going to buy no vitamins. They're not going to buy it because they're going to buy, they're going to buy the juice in the pop first before they think about their health. And that's how the investors look at us. And so I wanted to go out and look and talk to my wife and say, man, I want to invest in this in ourselves. I want to go all the way with this. I'm going to take our money and do this. And of course, you looked at me a little crazy at first, but I was like, I think this is needed. And so when I went into the marketing, I made sure the marketing filled that gap too with the name and stuff that we may talk about a little later.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that, with the name ProBlkHealth, we get a lot of pushback from some people because it sounds so militant or Black Panther, but it isn't, because pro-Black doesn't mean anti-others. We're just saying that we want to promote the health of Black people, which doesn't have to be, against other races or other people by any means. We just found a need. If you have a building in a community that is run down, you put a lot of resources. It doesn't mean that the other buildings don't deserve any attention. No, it means that this particular building, because it was on fire, It's the one that defies companies to success. This is the one that we're trying to save. It's not about the other ones are not important, but there's a need right now for this one, and that's what we're trying to highlight, promote, and encourage.
So glad that you said that, because that brings me to, like, you deal with a lot of patients from different walks of life. Surgeon, correct?
Yes.
So could you give a little background about how you know different patients, and just let us know if there are like some ways that maybe you try to steer them towards maybe a holistic way before surgery, just a whole, like, give us a snapshot of what you do.
Of course, of course. So I'm a weight loss surgeon, and you have to be a significant amount of overweight, even morbid obesity, to qualify. And I tell every patient who comes in, like, what else have you tried? What else have you tried with your diet? What else have you tried with exercise? Because if you don't have to have surgery, I'm a surgeon and that's how I make my living. But I understand that surgery in and of itself has risk and complications. So if we need to just sit down with you, I have a dietitian who's wonderful, but I encourage everyone, let's sit down, let's write down everything that you're eating. Let's check all your blood levels, let's see what's going on, because poor decisions or misinformation or ignorance beforehand is going to be the same. Poor information and ignorance and lack of discipline after surgery, you're going to have potentially bad results, but put yourself in harm's way. So we have to figure out, what are you doing wrong? Once you do everything right, there may be things outside of your control, especially once you're 200, 300 pounds overweight, where you need a little bit of a push to be able to maintain that weight loss. Most people can diet and lose 10 to 20 pounds, but it's not sustainable because they do something very severe to have that calorie deficit and they go back to the old ways because they don't understand the long-term consistency aspect of it. So a lot of it is teaching and coaching and figuring out individual plans on what works for you. What is your even, knowledge based on how to read a food label. I had a patient who, I said, what kind of fruits and vegetables do you eat? They said macaroni and cheese, but that's the kind of education or knowledge base that some patients have. And it's not about making them feel bad, but it goes back to the root of just their fund of knowledge. So again, our mission is about health awareness. What can you do that you may not know based on your circumstance? How can we educate you on that so that every day you're trying to do something healthy for yourself? The vitamins is a vehicle for you to do that, but there's so much bigger than the vitamins. It's about understanding how active should you be, what is a fruit, what is a vegetable, how much salt should you be having, so that we can avoid some of the other stuff. But I really go into with my patients about what can you do every day that maybe you haven't done so far and successful at, that surgery is not required. Surgery is a tool to help you, but it doesn't help if you haven't already started the foundation of the basics. You said the more holistic, the non-surgical approaches.
Okay, awesome. One thing I noticed on your website is mentioned that you actually donate 50% of your profits to nonprofits. How does that actually work, and how you actually kind of decide to do that, and what type of nonprofits actually kind of interested in donating to?
Well, what we look at is trying to nonprofits that eradicate health disparities. And then we want to go out and look at nonprofits that do those things and give us a guideline or a way. Like, we go and ask them for an actual plan, a plan of what they're going to do in the community, and then initiating that plan and be able to follow that plan with our followers. That's kind of basically what we want to do. We're at the point now, we just launched less than a year ago, and that's why we said profits. We're trying to get to profitability, and so we're able to do that. And we also want to do some more R&D, because we'd like to get some diabetic stuff out there. We'd like to get some high blood pressure stuff out there, prenatals out there. We really want to grow the brand. We have 10 great, excellent vitamins now, but we want to make it so much bigger than that. But we put so much into it. So we're hoping our community can buy into what we have to help it grow. And then as it grows and gets to that profitability, we're able to go out into these nonprofits. And eventually, we want to take it nonprofits, and that ProBlkHealth does some stuff too. We can grow to the fact that ProBlkHealth is in the community. ProBlkHealth is helping out these things. The reason we started with nonprofits because we're trying to grow the businesses. It's an easy channel because they're already there. But we want to be involved in the community as well. If we had our way, we would go out and be doing everything hand to hand combat in the community, and that's what we want to really get to. So it's a way to help with the current nonprofits and eventually grow into making one big unified ProBlkHealth nonprofit where we go out and initiate some of these things as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you guys know with RevUpFitness, we're a digital marketing agency for people like yourself, people in the health and wellness industry, personal trainers, people like yourself, like I said. And I'm just curious, as of right now, during this time, have you had to increase your marketing budget? Have you lowered it because more people are just interested in building a immune system automatically? Like where's that currently looking like for you? Have you had to put more investment out there to get the message out about ProBlkHealth?
Yeah, we have a little bit. We run a little more digital ads, like you said, a little more Facebook, a little more Instagram, talking with shows like yourself and getting the word out has been really important to us, and hoping that getting the word out and giving information. And it's kind of hard, like we like the Facebook stuff and everything as well, but it's hard to kind of convey everything that we're trying to do. And we don't want to just seem like another brand pushing a product. Like if you look at our Facebook ads, Instagram ads, they're all about education. They're all about vitamin guidelines. I'm not trying to like, oh, here's a vitamin, you need it. This is going to work in your immunity and try to sell you these dreams that a lot of, it's about taking day-to-day action. And so we're more about education and hoping that goes into people buying into the brand.
So when it comes to, I know the plans have changed for 2020. What kind of things are you looking forward to throughout the rest of the year? What can we look forward to from ProBlkHealth for the rest of 2020?
Well, like you said, a little damper. We were going to do a lot more events, like you saw. That was like a very big foundation because being able, like, to speak to people like yourself and meet with you, you get to see our energy and what we're about. And then, you would go into the brand and say, man, I really see that these people are serious. So we love those live events. And we plan on doing some traveling, some events. We maybe looked at going into Essence this year, but like you said, all that is scrapped. So some of the things we're looking forward to, we're looking at launching an immunity vitamin, a vitamin pack with 6 vitamins that are specifically for your immunity, even though we got some stuff already for immunity. And then we're going to be launching a couple more products as well, and hopefully doing a lot more podcasts and shows and interviews with people to kind of get the word out. So that's our strategy right now until we see what happens. If things open back up to a point, maybe towards the end of the year, we'll do more events. We have some plans to do some stuff with Essence. We're hoping to do, we do some stuff with ProBlk, which is a big vehicle. Atlanta Village Market, which is the big vehicle that we use. And we're going to do a lot of the hair show stuff to kind of bring health into that environment. So we're going to look at what we're going to do and see where the virus goes. So the virus dictates where we're going to go. But that's where we're at right now.
I understand. Go ahead.
So let's say that I run into you guys at an event, or I find out about you all through a marketing channel, and I'm interested in improving my health. Me being a first timer to your website, guide me through how you would render suggestions to someone who's looking to take charge of their health, or what foundation would you give them to start with?
Go ahead.
Sure. So there's a couple things. So there's a vitamin blueprint that we have on the site that gives the basics: vitamin A, C, E, a few of the vitamin B's, vitamin D, and kind of some of the symptoms you may be having if you are deficient in those, and explains what those vitamins do. Right. So it doesn't just say, oh, this is a vitamin, but it actually gives you some context into what in your body that actual mineral supplement is doing and the importance of it. And then what things can be happening in a negative way that you may say, hey, this has happened to me, that may question if you're deficient in that. I think a basic multivitamin is a good place to start for most people because it's going to give you a good variety of everything. If you have blood work before and you're known to be vitamin D deficient, most of us African Americans are vitamin D deficient for two main reasons. One, we can't absorb it from the sun, and the sun is what helps us to make vitamin D. And a lot of us are lactose intolerant, so we can't get it in our dairy products. So we have a vitamin D supplement that a lot of Black people, I think, would benefit from. Then you get a little bit more specific. So you have your hair, skin, nail vitamins. Some people, due to what they do or don't do to their hair or just their diet, may have issues with their hair, skin, and nails. So again, it goes into symptoms. What things are you trying to improve upon? Those are good vitamins if you have the need for it. If you have trouble sleeping, we have a melatonin. Like I mentioned before, sleep is integral. It's so important for healing. If you're sleep deprived, it's hard for you to maintain your weight. You have poor memory. You often make poor food choices because your hormones are out of whack. So sleep is a lot more important than we give it credit to. We have a probiotic. Probiotics is good for digestion. It's good for bloating because it helps kind of balance out your bacteria. It also helps support your immune system. So we do have that one. And we have an organic green tablet. So some people say, you know what, I don't like test tube vitamins, you know? So we have an organic green tablet, which it uses 14 green leafy vegetables and 14 other vegetables and puts them into a tablet form. And you'll get all the natural vitamin A, B, C's, D's, folate from vitamins, which a lot of people like to go that route. So we have a good variety for a lot of people. And the basics, like I said, is get a good multi and then figure out kind of what your deficits are. And Blueprint kind of gives you a basic foundation of understanding that, and you can kind of determine for yourself which ones you think you would benefit most from.
And is there a community or a chat or a way that they can reach out to you one-on-one for specific questions?
Yeah, we do have, our email, and we do have a chat bot that's actually on there where you can chat with us. It's difficult to be live chat a lot because she's a surgeon. I have a media company as well. So hopefully we hope to grow to the fact that we could dedicate more time and maybe have some nutritionists and some other people part of the brand to actually talk to individuals. But we really try the best that we can. But it's difficult to speak to everyone. We get quite a bit of traffic to the site, which is amazing. But it's also hard outside of email when we do a lot of emailing back and forth. But those live consultations and those things can be very difficult due to the high demand of our careers. But I mean, that's a big part of it. I would like to grow it to that point. So we're able to have those things, and we would like to do a YouTube channel. We want to do all those things as well. But, we have to walk before we can run and grow the foundation of the business first. But we would love to take it to that level and have people like such as yourself who are part of the brand. And we can talk about that later to be able to discuss with these people physical fitness. We'll love to have channels that we can partner with to send people to. If you do physical fitness and different type of holistic things, we'll love to collaborate and to do those things as well.
Awesome.
Well, look, this could be your first YouTube. There you go. We'll give you time.
Yeah.
You're good. You don't got nothing to worry about. You already got your first episode.
We love it. We appreciate the support,
And I think as
Go ahead.
different aspects of health, your fitness and, we're vitamins and other people have other things they can contribute. I've always been a proponent of, you just have to get someone to take one initiative or one step. So, and usually once they do one positive thing for themselves, they say, well, I'm already doing this. Let me incorporate something else. Let me start the third thing and the fourth thing. And it grows. You don't go from doing nothing to being, all in overnight. But you have to kind of ease someone in. But once they say, you know what, I feel a little bit better, or I've noticed this difference. Imagine if I ate better and I exercise. What if I ate better, exercise, and stopped smoking? There's so many things that could go, but you have to drop that first kernel. And I want all of us in the health and wellness space targeting our community to kind of give give the part that we can contribute, because people are going to latch on to different things. So someone's going to latch on to exercise first. Someone else is going to latch on to vitamins first. But it's about the community being there to help support with the other aspects of it as that person is on their health and wellness journey.
Just to take a little bit about that, it's so interesting. We get a lot of emails and people who review the vitamins, and they're like, "Man, I feel so good. I started taking that vitamin." We had one girl who took the vitamins at an event. And she came back like 3 hours later. What was in that? I feel so good. I feel so good. It's because so many people don't know what feeling good feels like. They think they feeling good. They think they normal. Their normal is they're like, man, I feel okay, but they've never taken the change or done anything to really know what it feels to really feel good. And feeling bad becomes their normal. And they're like, man, I got so much energy. I'm like, you're probably deficient in so much. You run to McDonald's, you run to Wendy's, you thinking you're fine, and then you get a little supplementation, and you're like, whoa. Or you drink a little green a couple of days. You're like, man, I feel great. I'm like, it's like you put some premium gas in your car finally, didn't you? Yeah, so that's definitely exciting.
Well, I was gonna say, so I went to your site and I got my vitamin deficiency guide. So I put my email address and I got it. Okay. So that is a
good, absolutely. And we also would like to offer a special discount to your listeners out there. So we'll be able to give you a code, and you guys can give that to your listeners, and to give them an opportunity to try the vitamins out and get a 25% discount on their first vitamins.
Awesome.
That is awesome. We appreciate that. We'll put the code on here somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, look for the code.
I have one more question. For the vegan community, are your vitamins vegan friendly? Because a lot of vitamins, they use gelatin casing, or they may contain soy or certain things like that. So do you have those options like outside?
Yes. On the Not Your Mama Greens, it's definitely vegan as well. And our gummies. Our gummies are made with pectin, which are plant-based. So that's really good. We didn't do any kind of gelatin or anything like that. That's really good. And everything else is pretty much great for vegans. Yeah, everything is, and it's dairy-free as well. Now, you have a nut allergy. The gummies do have some coconut oil in them, so if that's an issue, but she has a nut allergy, it doesn't bother her, but that may be something you may want to look into. But yeah, we're vegetarian and vegan friendly all the way through.
And soy free, or some of them?
Some of them, I think that one of the hair, skin, and nails may have.
I don't believe it's soy. We can double check and get back to you.
Yeah, it's soy free. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking
Marquise, you got another question?
Are you good?
No, that's all the questions I had.
Okay.
Cool. So look, we appreciate everything so far. We like to kind of wrap everything up with some fun questions for you guys. We normally ask like 5 questions each, but we're just gonna keep it at 2.
Okay.
It's just fun. So we'll all ask you 2 questions you both can kind of answer. And I think, Jen, you had some fun questions to ask them.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
So, what's the last thing, because we're in the house, snacks everywhere. What's the last thing that you guys have eaten?
For a snack? Oh, okay, go ahead.
A food or a snack?
Either or, both.
Oh, I had some fried shrimp. About right through this.
I did some popcorn. So I always make this on the stove, organic popcorn. So
okay.
That's what she says it's a little too Oregon Trail for her.
It is. That was delicious. And he got some, I don't know where he got it from. It tastes like something out of the 1800s.
They did right in the 1800s.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then also being a couple and being inside together and not on your usual routine, how are you managing being in each other's presence 24/7?
Well, I still go to work every day. So
okay.
For us, yeah, he's been working from home for years now, and I go to work every day just about. So our routine hasn't changed that much, which has been nice. But I can see how we'd be hanging each other over the balcony if I had to be here all day every day.
Yeah, that'd be
A
good.
little Suge Knight action, like why?
So I was going to ask, okay, so for both of you, who is your favorite comedian?
Ooh.
Well, I'm old school. I'll go first. I'm Richard Pryor. That's
Oh
just
my God.
I think I'm Dave Chappelle.
Nice.
I think because he just states the obvious and he's not afraid to say his truth, and I think he actually stands for something. I think when he like stepped away from the limelight at his financial detriment, and he came back and he says what he really feels. I think it's he's just a very genuine guy. I think he's just hysterical.
He is. I saw him live a couple years ago. Like
Yeah, we saw him live too. He's a nut.
a good
So
night.
Yeah, good nut.
the second question I was going to ask is, where's your favorite place to travel internationally?
Ooh.
And if you haven't been there, where is it?
I'm still trying to go to Africa.
Yeah.
We haven't been South Africa specifically.
nice.
I think the best place we've been together so far, Paris or Amsterdam or London.
Yeah, I mean, we actually were in Europe.
During the pandemic.
Oh, really?
We came
We
back.
got just in time before they started letting people in. We just got back, and so. But we had went to Amsterdam. And we weren't expecting to really go there. I didn't know how nice it was, and the fact that what really. I mean, it's a beautiful city, but they ride bikes everywhere. It was the first time it's like bikes with traffic lights. So it's like thousands of bikes. So it's like bikes on. Just imagine bikes on your highway versus cars, or bikes on your
That's pretty
street.
cool.
So it was just like everybody's riding bikes, but it was interesting that everybody's bike was the identity of who they were. So like a minivan, like a mom, they had a bike that was like a mom's bike with like kids on it and packages on it. It was really interesting.
I heard Aruba's a nice place. You need to visit sometime.
Yes.
But,
You went to Aruba, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Very nice
go
place.
ahead, Marquise.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have two questions for you as well. The first one is, since we're all been kind of quarantined so much lately, what Netflix series have you guys been binge watching?
Okay. I just finished Netflix. I just finished Ozark, season 3.
Oh, same here. Crazy.
What's the other thing we're watching?
Tiger King.
Oh,
yes. Oh my God. I'm telling you.
Carol killed her husband. I don't care what nobody say. Carol was probably the most psycho one on that show. Carol did it.
Yeah, man. I was like, man, these people some fools.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like I got to catch up on that.
Yeah, you got to get it on that.
You definitely got to catch up on that for sure. And the second question is, it's a little bit more serious, I guess, but it's more so, you two are individuals as of now. You've been so much in your life and got to where you are. What influenced you the most to be where you are today? Whether that's a piece of art, a movie, a book, or a person.
I'll say that my parents, I think, influenced me the most. My mother died when I was 12. My father was, my only parent until I went to college and he got remarried. And I think that they say, for everything that you experience influences you. And I think things that you are also protected from are what mold you as well. And my father is like the embodiment to me of like such an upstanding guy. He had like a hard upbringing, but he like forged through it and made a way for himself and really taught my sister my values about being responsible, adults, and that we need to take care of ourselves. So I definitely think my dad is probably the most influential person kind of in my life. He showed me who I didn't want to be based on other people I saw in my environment, but also he literally instilled a lot of value that, to this day, I still appreciate and take me, further and further.
Yeah, I hate to kind of jump on that. My mom is definitely one of my best inspirations. She worked so hard to bring me and my siblings up from nothing, in situations that were not the best. And she worked 3 jobs and she worked hard and she never complained. And so every time, even when I was a kid, I would do something bad, I'd be like, man, I want my mom to be upset. So, it's always been, I don't want to disappoint her and just kind of push me when I needed that push. You say, man, I gotta make my mom proud. So, it follows me every single day.
Awesome. Great.
So in wrapping up, where can people find you? You want to talk about your website, your Instagram? Let us know where people can find you, get more information like help and you guys.
Well, ProBlkHealth.com. It's spelled PROBLK, like on the hat. On Instagram, we're at ProBlk_health. The website is ProBlkHealth.com. And we have Facebook group, ProBlk Health. We got LinkedIn, ProBlk Health. Twitter at ProBlk Health. And we're looking at maybe doing the TikTok, but we got to get our dances together. So
I'm working on it. How about YouTube tutorials on transitions? Okay.
So we're trying to get that together, and so you can reach us there. And all the information as far as email and stuff, you want to reach out to us, ask us questions. We do have some FAQs on the site, but we're always open to help answer any questions, anything we can do for you. Just reach out to us.
Cool. And you want to tell people where they can follow you, Jamie?
Of course. So family, you can follow me at Electric Fit. That's ELECTRIK_fit.
Marquise?
Only on though. I'm not doing anything else.
We'll be following. We're going to be looking it up in a second.
We're going to reciprocate.
All right.
Yep, and you can find me on Instagram at Side Hustle Mentor, or also at sidehustlementor.com, where you can find out a little bit more about me and how I help the community just kind of grow their business online.
Absolutely.
So you can follow me, Fit with CJ, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and that's it for now. That's enough for now.
Yeah, because he's on everything.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter so much. I'm not on Twitter.
Okay.
But I have a private Twitter account. We won't talk about
I was about to say you.
But we appreciate you guys so much for coming on today's episode. We hope you guys, the viewers of this and listeners, have enjoyed this extended episode. And we'd love to have you guys back sometime to, so take conversation going. Let's keep everyone safe and healthy.
Yeah, I'd love to. This was amazing. So much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And let's stay safe out there.
Yeah. Better.
Yep. Safety is necessary.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.